Hi, good morning class. Welcome to the next lecture of Managerial Economics, that is lecture 4. So in this lecture we are going to have a discussion regarding demand, which is very interesting topic for you and my favorite topic of this. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about law of demand and exceptions of law of demand. So generally, if we talk about the word demand, then what is demand? It explains the relationship between price and demand of a commodity. That means what is the relationship between the price and quantity demanded of a commodity. If price gets increases, then the demand of the product got decreased, and if the price got decreased, then the demand of the product get increases. So we can say that there is an inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded. So the first point is it explains the relationship between the price and quantity demanded. Second, demand of a commodity decreases if its price increases and increases if its price falls, other things being same. So law of demand explains the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. The law of demand states that the other factors being constant, price and quantity demand of any good and service are inversely related to each other. So if we talk about the word demand, then demand is something which actually is the need of the customer and something that actually customer wants to buy. And if once the customer buys the product, so it becomes a habit of using the same product on a continuation process. So if we talk about demand, that means the demand of a product can only be increased if the customer is satisfied with the product which you are giving to them. So to increase or to maintain your demand in the market, so you have to take into account some of the things which we are going to discuss further in this lecture. So first you have to make clear that what is demand. That demand explains the relationship between price and quantity demanded, and what kind of relationship, that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. What do you mean by the word inverse? Inverse means opposite. If price increases, the demand of the product decreases. If price decreases, demand of the product increases. So you can say that there is an inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded of the commodity. So this helps in depicting the law of demand, which helps in maintaining the demand and supply of a commodity in the market. Law of demand explains consumer choice behavior when the price changes. If the price changes, then it helps in understanding the behavior of the consumer. If the price of the product suddenly got increased, then the customer will switch to the next best alternative, which is used to be known as by the name substitutes. So if you are increasing or decreasing the price of the product, then it helps in explaining the behavior of the consumer choice behavior in the market, assuming other factors affecting demand being constant. When the price of a good rises, it leads to a fall in the demand of that good. This is the natural consumer choice behavior. Yes, it is known as the natural consumer behavior because no customer or consumer is interested to buy or to purchase the goods at high price. This happens because the consumer hesitates to spend more for the good with the fear of going out of cash. Yes, the customer is having the fear of out of cash, so the customer will only purchase those goods which are within the purchasing power of the customer. Demand curve. Now the law of demand is only represented with the help of the demand curve. So demand curve is the graphical representation of the quantity demanded at a particular price, and here we have two axes, that is x-axis and y-axis. On x-axis we take the price of the commodity, and on y-axis we take quantity demanded of a commodity, and the straight slanting line is known as demand curve. So this is the diagram for demand curve, that the law of demand is the helps in giving the inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded. So you can see that on x-axis there is a price of coffee, that is P2, P1 and P3, and on y-axis there is quantity demanded Q1, Q2 and Q3. So when the prices are P3, then the quantity demanded is Q3. When the price increases to P1, the quantity is Q1, and when the price is P2, the quantity is Q2. So you can see that there is an inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded. Higher price leads to a contraction of quantity demanded, and lower the price leads to an expansion of quantity demanded. So if prices rises, there will be a contraction of demand, and if prices fall, there is an expansion in demand. So before going with the concept of demand, just try to keep in mind that what is the meaning of contraction and expansion. Contraction means when the demand becomes lower, and expansion means when the demands become more. So expansion is the result of falling in price, and contraction is the result of increase in price. So this is the graphical representation of the law of demand, and the slanting curve, the straight line, is known as the demand curve. It expresses different quantities of a commodity demanded at different prices. Demand schedule is of two types: individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. So what you will depict it, or what you will represent in the form of graph. So for that you have to make available the schedule, which is known as demand schedule. Now the demand schedule can be divided into two categories, that is individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. Individual demand schedule expresses different quantities of a commodity that individual consumer can agree to buy at different prices. So this is the individual demand schedule, that the point is A, B, C, D, E and F, and prices, and the third column is for quantity demanded. Then you have placed price on x-axis and quantity demanded on y-axis. Then you have keep some points that you can see with the help of black color, that is A, B, C, D and F. These are the points, and the moment you join all the black points, so the curve which you are getting after joining all these black points, that is known as demand curve. So if we talk about individual demand curve, that means we are talking about the single commodity consuming by a single customer at different prices. Second is market demand schedule. It expresses different quantities of a commodity that can be sold in a market at different prices. It is an aggregate of individual demand schedules of all individual consumers of a commodity. Now this is the diagrammatic representation of market demand schedule. Here there is one product, that is ice cream. Prices of ice cream is 1, 2, 3 and 4, and now two customers are consuming the same product at different price. That is A demand is 4, 3, 2, 1 and B's demand is 5, 4, 3, 2. Now how you can calculate the market demand? By adding A demand with B demand. That means one add 1 plus 2 column, that means 4 plus 5 is equal to 9, 3 plus 4 equals to 7, 2 plus 3 equals to 5, and 1 plus 2 equals to 3. So the final figure which you are giving after adding the A demand and B demand, so that final figure is known as the market demand. Now we can see that how this market demand schedule can be represented graphically. So this is the diagram of market demand curve. First we have made the A demand curve, then we have made the B demand curve, and when we have added the A and B demand, whatever the final is 2, 5 and 8, this is the final market demand. So this is known as the market demand curve. So if we talk about the individual demand curve, that means we are talking about the consumption of one single customer of one single commodity at different prices. And if we talk about the market demand curve, that means we are talking about more than one customer consuming the same commodity at different prices. So this is known as the market demand curve. Next is exceptions to the law of demand. So what is the law of demand? That other things previously we have take into account that there is one line, other things remaining the same. So other thing remaining the same means that there is something which one factor is changed and the other factors have to be same. Exceptions note that the law of demand hold true in most cases. The price keeps fluctuating until an equilibrium is created. However, there are some exceptions to the law of demand. These include the Giffen Goods, Veblen Goods, possible price changes, and essential goods. Now we are going to discuss in detail the exceptions of the law of demand. The first is Giffen Goods. Giffen Goods is a concept that was introduced by Sir Robert Giffen. These goods are goods that are inferior in comparison to luxury goods. However, the unique characteristic of Giffen Good is that as its price increases, the demand also increases. So there are some commodities or there are some goods in the market which is actually known by the increase in price. For example, if we talk about the Ferrari car, if we talk about the limousine car, then these cars are generally known by the high price level, and if the prices of these cars become low, then people used to think that there is something wrong, that's why the price of the cars have fallen down. So we can say that some of the commodities exist in the market that are actually known by high prices, and those high prices commodity kept under Giffen Goods, or we can say that some of the commodities can easily be considered in the market only if the prices of the commodity are high. तो जिन कमोडिटीज़ की प्राइसेस हाई होती हैं वो सिर्फ हाई प्राइसेस के नाम से ही जानी जाती हैं मार्केट में, और अगर उन कमोडिटी का प्राइस कम हो जाए, so the customers become confused that why the price of such commodity becomes down, as this feature is what makes it an exception to the law of demand. Example: the Irish potato famine is an example of the Giffen Good concept. Potato is a staple in the Irish diet. During the potato famine, when the price of potatoes increased, people spent less on luxury foods such as meat and bought more potatoes to stick to their diet. So as the price of potatoes increased, so did the demand, which is a complete reversal of the demand. So with this example, it can clear that some of the goods are actually known by its prices, that is by high price. Veblen Goods. The second exception to the law of demand is the concept of Veblen Goods. Veblen Goods is a concept that is named after the economist Thorstein Veblen, who introduced the theory of conspicuous consumption. According to Veblen, there are certain goods that become more valuable as their price increases. If a product is expensive, then its value and utility are perceived to be more, and hence the demand for that product increases. Veblen goods means those goods if is only known with high prices, for example the diamond. Once the diamond price becomes low, then people are not going to purchase it because uh, it gives a kind of doubt in the minds of the customer. So there are some goods which are only known by the increase in price. If the prices are increasing, then it creates a positive image in the minds of the customer. And this happens mostly with the precious metals and stones such as gold and diamond, and luxury cars such as Rolls-Royce. As the price of these goods increases, their demand also increases because these products then become a status symbol. Yes, some people want to show their status, so they used to wear very high prices commodity, or they used to purchase very high price commodity just to maintain their status in the society. So if you are going in if ladies are going in some hi-fi party, then they used to wear a diamond necklace because that diamond necklace reflects their status symbol. So these kind of commodities which reflects the status symbol of a customer can be kept under Veblen effect. The expectation of price change. In addition to Giffen and Veblen goods, another exception to the law of demand is the expectation of price change. There are times when the price of a product increases and market conditions are such that the product may get more expensive. In such cases, consumers may buy more of these products before the price increases any further. Consequently, when the price drops or may be expected to drop further, consumer might possible to purchase to avail the benefits of lower price. And in this, the expectation of change of price change, we can discuss the situation of lockdown. जब लॉकडाउन लगा था तो आप एक टाइम ऐसा आया था कि जब अनियन के प्राइस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गए थे. सो पीपल यूज टू बाय मोर एंड मोर अनियन एट द सेम प्राइस, क्योंकि आज अगर 80 रुपए किलो आपका प्याज मिल रहा है तो अगले दिन वो 120 या 100 हो जाता था. तो यहाँ पे कंज्यूमर का माइंडसेट क्या था? जस्ट टू परचेज दैट प्रोडक्ट विद इन दैट फिक्स प्राइस, to buy more and more product before the price increases any further. So the situation in the lockdown of onion can be the best example of the expectation of price change that is under exceptions of law of demand. For instance, in recent times, the price of onions has increased to quite an extent. Consumers started buying and storing more onions, fearing further price rise, which result in increased demand. There are also times when consumer may buy and store commodities due to fear of shortage. Therefore, even if the price of a product increases, its associated demand may also increase and the product may be taken off the shelf or it cease to exist in the market. So if the consumer aware that in future the prices are going to increase, so they used to purchase those commodity in a bulk and they store. Why? Because they are under a fear that the price of the commodity can increase more than this. So this is known as the exception of the law of demand. Necessary goods and services. Another exception to the law of demand is necessary or basic goods. People will continue to buy necessities such as medicines or basic staples such as sugar or salt even if the price increases. the prices of these products do not affect their associated demand. So those goods which are necessary for the survival of the customer, no matter the price get increases, but the consumer won't stop the consumption. It can reduce the consumption, but the consumer is not going to stop the consumption of that particular commodity, which are categorized under the necessity of goods and services. Change in income, that means if the consumer's income becomes more, then he is able to buy more product. If the consumer income become less, then he used to buy the less commodity. Sometimes the demand for a product may change according to the change in income. If a household income increases, they may purchase more products irrespective of the increase in their prices, thereby increasing the demand for the product. Similarly, they might postpone buying a product even if its price reduces if their income has reduced. Hence, change in a consumer's income may also be an exception to the law of demand. इस पे हम एग्जाम्पल डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। लॉकडाउन में जो सैलरी थी वो 20 से 25% तक कट के मिलती थी। सो एट दैट मोमेंट ऑफ टाइम पीपल हैज़ रिड्यूस द कंजम्पशन ऑफ सर्टेन कमोडिटीज़, and after lockdown, due to the high performance or good performance in work, some of the companies have given hike in the salaries of the employees. So if the salary of the employees increases, then their way of purchasing product also get increases. And during lockdown, the salary is used to cut at 20 to 25%. Then at that moment of time, the consumer has reduced the consumption of certain good commodities. So this is known as change in income. That if the income of the consumer increases, it helps in increasing the demand of the product. If the consumer's income got decreases, then it helps in decreasing the demand of the product. So this is all about for this lecture. Now we will meet in the next lecture. Till then, stay safe and happy. Thank you.